let's discuss linear races. Again, linear races is something that has been asked in CAT. So linear races is important. Now, what linear races means is basically there is a long track of length L and a few people are running on the track, right? Just like your 100 meters and 200 meters and 400 meters that you see happening every now and then. So that there is a track on which two or more people are running, and obviously somebody will win, somebody will lose, right? And then they ask you to calculate a lot of things. Now understand a few things first. Again, I'll come back to how this relates to D is equal to V into T, but what you need to understand first of all is a couple of things. There is something called as head start, right? You will see these kind of things given in the question. Head start, right? Now head start in meters or kilometers, for example, basically units of length, and head start in seconds or minutes, right? Which is units of time, right? Let me just write it down. Units of distance. This is in units of time, right? What does this mean? So if let's say I and you are running, if both of us are running a race, and if I give you a head start, let's say we are running a 500-meter race, right? And if I give you a head start of 100 meters, so basically what I'm telling you is that, okay, you can start from the 100-meter mark, right? So that you have to cover only 400 meters in the race, right? So what I'm saying is that if it's this is 500 meters and this is 0 meters, right? Let's say this is me and this is you, and if I give you a head start, right? If I give you a head start of 100 meters, so you will start from here, right? You will start from here, which is 100 meters. Do you understand what head start means in units of distance? Okay. Now there's another thing, as I said, which is head start in seconds. So what head start in seconds basically means that by now you would have figured out, actually, if I give you a head start of, let's say, 10 seconds, right? So I allow you to run, right? And by the time you would have reached at let's say this point P, which is some distance ahead, and let's say you would have taken 10 seconds to cover this distance, then I will start, right? So basically if you start at time 0, I start at time 10. That's it. Okay. Dead heat is when nobody is the winner. Understood these two things? Head start in meters and head start in seconds, right? Any doubts to anyone? Okay. Now let's see what's the inherent concept, right? Again, I told you that D is equal to V into T. It's like the Bible equation, right? Understand that if two people are running a race, right? Let's say A and B are running a race, right? Obviously, let's say the speed of A is VA and the speed of B is VB. Obviously, VA is not equal to VB, right? Otherwise, both will end the race at a given point in time. Now, suppose the track length is L, right? Now, if these, let's say, let's for the moment assume that VA is greater than VB, right? Now, if VA is greater than VB, obviously A will win the race, right? If there is no head start or anything, if both start at the same time from the same place from the start mark, obviously A will win the race. किसी को इसमें doubt? Any doubts to anyone in this? Right? Now, if A wins the race, right? The question that can be put to you is by how many meters does A beat B, right? Because if A reaches here, obviously B would be somewhere here, right? So the question is, by how many meters does A beat B? What you need to understand is that when A reaches here and B reaches here, given that A and B started at the same point, both A and B have traveled for the same time, right? They start at t is equal to 0, and suppose at t is equal to 50 seconds A reaches and A wins the race. Obviously B also has traveled for 50 seconds, but B is able to reach only this point, right? They both have traveled for 50 seconds, right? Make sense? both have traveled for the same time. Now again, coming back to this equation, what happens if both have traveled for the same time, they have different speeds? If both have traveled for the same time, which is t equal to constant, which I explained, then distances traveled will be in the ratio of the speeds, right? Distance is directly proportional to speed, which means that distance that A travels will be directly proportional to VA. Distance that B travels will be directly proportional to VB. If you just divide these two, dA by dB will be VA by VB, right? VA and VB is known to you in this case, let's say, right? If VA and VB are known, the ratio of DA and DB is also known, and you know the track length as well. So you know that uh, in this case, since A is the winner, so DA is anyway L, right? DA is anyway L. So from here, given that this is known, let's say this is some constant K, right? You can easily figure out that dB is nothing but L by K, right? The moment you know dB, you can figure out what is this distance, right? Because dB is this distance, the distance B has traveled. This is dB, and dA is the whole distance that A has traveled, which is the entire track length because A has won the race. The difference between these two is the margin by which A beats B, right? So what you need to find out, your answer is L minus L by K in this case, right? This is the fundamental concept behind races. Any doubts to anyone in concept? Obviously, we'll take a look at a couple of questions as well. But before that, let me know if you have any queries or confusions in this. K is just the ratio of VA and VB. So assume that VA and VB either both are given to you or the ratios of VA and VB is given to you, right? In this case, it could also be that they, give you something else and ask you to find out the length of the track, which is, see, there are a number of variables involved here. There is VA, there is VB, there is L, there is T, whatever, right? So any of these variables can be asked to you by providing the other variables. In this case, I'm just saying that K is known to you, which is the ratio of VA and VB. Okay. Quickly again, both have traveled for the same time. If both have traveled for the same time, then the distances traveled will be in the ratio of their speeds, which means dA by dB will be equal to VA by VB. Assume VA by VB is known to you in this case. Let's say that is K, right? dA is obviously L because L is the total distance that A has traveled, right? L is the total distance that A has traveled. So from here, given L and given K, you can find out dB, which is the distance B has traveled in terms of L and K. The moment you're able to find out this distance dB, the margin by which B gets beaten by A is nothing but L minus dB, right? Which is L minus L by K. As I said, there can be different varieties of questions on this. Again, the idea is that there are a number of variables, VA, VB, DA, DB, T, L, any of all of these except one variable will be given to you and you'll be asked the remaining one, right? And then you can, the number of it, the different number of variables there are, let's say there are 6 variables, you can obviously have 5 or 6 question types on this, right? But the concept remains the same. Clear?